Hey folks, MBS here. I'm in the middle of installing a new temperature sensor that I'm going to do a review on in my bus here, and I thought I'd just take a little break from that and show you a few cool little contraptions you can buy that might help you for an easier installation. And like, have you ever had the problem where, geez, you just can't find a power wire in the wiring circuit anywhere that you can easily access, and you don't want to run a brand new wire all the way from the battery to your source like you would if you were fitting spotlights, heavy amperage equipment. You certainly wouldn't be using this little fellow that I'm going to be talking about here, and that's they call it an adder circuit, and it just clips into your fuse box. You take a fuse out, you put this in its place, you put the fuse that you took out, place it into the receptacle, first receptacle. The second one, you would put your second fuse in to power a new circuit. Alright, so you're taking your power straight off the fuse box. Now of course you got to make sure that you're picking the right terminal in the fuse box. Once again, you don't want to be excuse me, using a high powered device and then plugging it into another circuit that uses high power, because it'll just fail. Alright, what I'm fitting is that new gauge, very low amperage draw, so I'm fitting it into where's my little circuit board here. I'm going to fit it into my ECU IG circuit, which I'm sure isn't on my bus. I don't have an ECU exactly, so I'm going to be plugging it into there. It's a 15 amp circuit. I'm going to be using probably a 5 amp fuse for the gauge, so it's got to be less than the original circuit, and you certainly don't want to be putting a bigger one in. That would be a big boo-boo. But that was an easy way for me to get power to my new gauge, and it was with ignition on, so you have to test my circuit boards down here, my fuse box. I just couldn't find anything under the steering column, under the dash, that was easily accessible that I could splice into. And with this, I don't really need to do any splicing. It's just, yeah, easy install. Just add a circuit. Like I said earlier, if you're doing heavy amperage thing, you would run a new wire straight from the battery. Alright, another little gadget that I'm using also in conjunction with this is making my terminal from here onwards to my gauge. Well, rather than crimp it and make it all permanent, I want to be able to remove it later. So I'm going to be using this little contraption here, little connector, great little connector. This is a two gang unit. I would put obviously I would cut that off, I'd put one end in there, I would then click it shut and it grips that wire, and then I'll continue my wire to my gauge off the second terminal and close it up. Boom boom, I've now joined those two wires together. Now you can get these in 2 gang, I've got 3 gang, they've even had 5 gang and all different styles. I got those from eBay, very handy. I've got them throughout my bus here, which I'll show you a picture of, the 5 gang. Very handy for the work I was doing inside this bus. Handy for even this sort of work. It's handy for everything. If you want to join 2 wires together, rather than using a male and female blade terminal or a bullet terminal, you can just use one of these. And easy, just flick up the prong, strip your wire, push it in, close it. It grips it. You'll never get it off. So that was another little handy device I've been using. Another little device, I'm not using it for this gauge, but it is very handy. And I'm sure you've seen these things around a lot in termination blocks and things like that. Rather than have a blade terminal or have that going straight into a a screw down terminal, where a screw would come in from the top and it would just squash the crap out of that wire, maybe even break a couple of them if you do it up too tight. Well, there's this little fellow here. You get a little box of these little ferrules. They just slip straight over, the wire goes straight up that tube, and you use this special little square tool. You put it in like so, and ba-bum. I'm sure you've seen these around, being used. That just slips in to whatever you're terminating it to, and you screw the screw down, and you're screwing it down onto that surface there instead of directly to the wire. And I've used that extensively throughout this bus as well in various places and other jobs I've done. Very, very handy. Even a trailer plug, I think my latest job was a trailer plug, the 7 wires going around. I terminated all like this, pushed them in, did up the screw, and much better, much better. Alright, now you can get the whole kit. It comes in like that. You get the little tool, not very expensive. I think that cost me about 25 bucks. Very, very handy, and I've used it all quite a bit. Alright. But yeah, I thought I'd just introduce you to these two little suckers, the outer circuit and the little termination block. They've been very, very handy for me. Of course, I've got the full plethora of terminations. Throw a picture up for you. I've got all of them, the eyelets, the push-ons, the bullets, you name it. It's, I've just about got it. But yeah, for joining and adding, I use these little blocks. Now you can get these from eBay. If you look them up, you'll find them on eBay. They're fairly cheap too. I think I paid about $15 for this full box. You get quite a lot in there. I think all the 5 gangers were in there, and you get the 3 and 2 gangers. Been very useful to me. But yeah, I've used this outer circuit quite a lot in the recent years. Just an easy way to add a new circuit, a low amperage circuit, into your fuse box without having to splice into wires, destroy wires, soldering them up, trying to get connections. Yeah, you get rid of all that with these gizmos. Alright, so hope you enjoyed that, and if you haven't seen them ever before, yeah, look them up. I think they'll be extremely handy to have in your toolbox, just when the things arise and you need something like that, rather than using normal terminals. Alright, catch you in another video.